Alright, we're back with the next video in the How It's Actually Done series, and today we're covering Last Wish, where I'll cover a quick recap of some of the mechanics, where the secret chests are, and more importantly, what the strats actually are in 2024, years after its release. This series has kind of morphed into just a full-on raid guide series, I guess updated for current time, so I hope you're okay with that. Because this is showing you how it's actually done, there will occasionally be some cheese in there because that's what every LFG group is going to do. So this should definitely be helpful for you if maybe you've run Last Wish before, maybe it's your first time running Last Wish, but more importantly, if you're just hesitant to hop in an LFG group because there's so much new stuff in the game now and you might be totally lost. Last Wish has recently gained a lot of popularity as all of the weapons have now been reprised with brand new traits, an origin trait, and more importantly, are also able to be crafted so you have complete customization over these weapons. So if possible, you do want to run this raid, as most of these weapons are very good, including the best rocket launcher in the game, the Apex Predator. So before we get into the raid itself, I'll let you know a couple disclaimers. You're able to now grab a quest from Hawthorne once per week that will let you earn a random red border weapon as long as you clear every encounter, so make sure to pick this up before getting into the raid. Also, as I've mentioned in previous videos of this series, make sure to equip 3 surge mods and 3 reserve mods that match the damage type of your main DPS weapon for any boss encounters. Not doing this will put you at the bottom of the damage list after every wipe, so yeah, just put on those mods. Once you load into the raid, you'll have a pretty linear path that you'll have to take, and then you'll eventually make it to the first encounter, Kalli. This whole encounter should be one-phased. It's one of the easiest encounters of the raid, and probably any raid to be honest. For your team composition, just have one Well of Radiance, and everyone else can equip whatever their highest burst damage super is. Before starting the encounter though, just look in the middle of the room for 6 symbols, as I'm showing here. Assign 1 symbol to each player, then have each player look around the room for their symbol that will be hovering over a plate. Once everyone's in position, you can then step on the plate to start the encounter. What you're doing here is basically just holding down the plate, avoiding the 2 taken orbs that are going to spawn in and try and kill you. And after a few rounds, a knight will spawn in. Once you kill the knight, you can head to the middle and get ready for damage. It's that easy as long as everyone can do that. As the damage phase begins, you've got a few seconds of damage before you'll have to take shelter in these tiny rooms. You'll see the doors open, and then you've got about 5 seconds for everyone to get in the room. It's only 1 person per room as well. The past 15 times I've run this raid, we've had 0 strategy for assigning someone to a room. That can actually overcomplicate things, but if you feel like your team does better with just having some sort of structure and organization, go ahead and number your team 1 through 6, and then assign each door that opens 1 through 6 so you can have a designated person per room, but I promise you it's not really that necessary to do that. You'll have to hop in these doors 3 separate times, which means you get 3 mini phases per whole damage phase, and like I said, this should be very easy to do with the main recommended damage strategy, which is Galahorn plus 5 legendary rockets. Nothing new. This will make for a very easy 1 phase. But if you are on a team that wants to use linear fusion rifles, you can do that. Kalli takes additional damage from precision damage, but her hitbox is so tiny that we just like to use rockets. It's a lot easier. Once the encounter is over, you can cross this bridge and grab the first secret chest by dropping down this cliff. Then you can just kind of follow the path to the next area where we can get ready for the next fight, which is Shuro. This encounter is a gauntlet, but overall pretty simple in what you actually need to do. You'll have to kill every single taken enemy that you can see, then have 3 players jump on these plates at the same time, hopefully because the plates will do damage to you. You'll grab these taken lasers and form a triangle around Shuro like we're doing here by shooting the player to your right. This will open her up for damage. You can nuke her by using really anything, rockets, machine guns, Legend of Acreus, fusion rifles, take your pick. She doesn't have a lot of health. Then you'll have more enemies that spawn in, just clear those next bit of enemies and do the same thing towards the end of that pathway you're taking on this floor. Once you finish with the second damage phase, you'll end up in this room with jigsaw puzzles on the walls. Everyone likes to stress out about this part here, but I don't know why. Just don't overcomplicate it and you'll do great. All we're trying to do here is fill out the 4 missing puzzle pieces on the wall by jumping on the corresponding plates on the ground. So there's 9 pieces on the wall, 9 circles on the ground, that's it. The first puzzle will be on the left wall when you enter the room, and once you complete the puzzle, look to the wall on the right for the next puzzle. You'll have to complete 3 puzzles to drop the platforms that will let you jump up to the next floor. But I guess the only tough part here is that you can't jump on the same plate twice. So make sure to keep track of which plate you've jumped on. If you have to swap with someone, don't try and rush it. Just take your time, communicate, and you'll be fine. As with the doors encounter in the Kalli fight, there are a lot of ways to overcomplicate who takes what plate, but just think of it as some like elementary school puzzle, except it's a video game now. I promise, it's very easy. You'll have to repeat this same process until Shuro is dead, with a total of 2 puzzle rooms and 6 damage phases to clear. After you kill Shuro, you can progress forward a little bit and follow this path on the cliff to do some tree jumping to reach the second secret chest. And after that, your entire team will have to make it through this Ascendant Realm jumping puzzle before starting the next encounter. So if someone is really struggling with jumping, maybe they're just terrible at it, they can actually go to orbit and return once everyone else has made it to Morgeth. So, Morgeth, probably the lowest HP boss in the entire game. This fight is about 2 minutes long. Just make sure you have 1 Well of Radiance, no surprise, and everyone else on their favorite high damage burst supers. To get a refresher on the mechanics, the goal is to collect all 10 of these floating taken orbs that will kind of spawn in as the fight goes on, and you have to do this before Morgeth reaches his full power and wipes your whole team. Collecting 1 taken orb here will give you 1 stack of taken strength, and you can hold up to 2 taken strength. If you collect 3, you will just die instantly, so again, 2 is the max. You'll want to designate 1 person to collect the middle orb to get the fight started, and try to evenly distribute the fire team between the left and right sides of the arena. To kind of eliminate some RNG, we will usually designate someone on the left side that will take 2 orbs, and 2 players on the right side will take 1 orb. So for this first phase, only 1 person will get 2 orbs. Because that 1 player is the only player on the field that has taken strength times 2, we're kind of forcing that player to become frozen and again, eliminate some RNG. And by the way, getting frozen is an intended mechanic. So not to worry, there are taken captains that spawn in and will drop something called the Eye of Riven that someone else on the team can pick up and bring over to any frozen guardian and use it next to them to free them. Keep in mind that using the Eye of Riven and cleansing that teammate will transfer whatever taken strength they have, which is going to be 2, they'll transfer it to the person that cleansed them. So you want to make sure that someone who has 0 taken strength picks up the Eye of Riven and does the cleanse. After that, you've just got 1 more round of orbs that spawn in, so just do the same thing. The 10th and final orb will spawn in by Morgeth, so have that first player who collected that first orb go ahead and pick this one up to initiate the damage phase. Once this is done, Morgeth is ready to get nuked. Doesn't matter too much where you do damage from, but most teams are going behind him where we are here. This is our preferred method. Precision damage is what you want here, and just about any precision weapon works. Linear fusion rifles, snipers, Whisper of the Worm, Thunderlord, all good options. And just so I can show it here, there's another spot where some teams might do damage from as well, which is in front of him, but I still like the back of the arena since the crit spots are a bit easier to hit. Morgeth will go down almost instantly, allowing you to move forward onto everyone's favorite encounter, which is the Vault. There is no boss for the Vault, so loadouts don't matter too much, but I would at least recommend a good roaming ad clear super to help take care of all the enemies, and make sure to bring a shotgun, fusion rifle, and sword, whatever. Anything that can deal with a nice, chunky, big knight that will try to wipe your whole team. For this, you've got to split up into 3 teams of 2. 1 person from each team will be a reader, and the other person will be an ad clearer on the outer sides of the arena in these rooms. There are 3 rooms here, and the callouts for these rooms are super easy. We have stairs, rock, and tree. Once everyone's ready, the readers should stand on their plate to start the encounter, and here's what the readers are going to do. It's a lot to explain, so buckle up. Each reader is going to see 3 symbols that appear. To get things started, we always like to designate the stairs area reader to call out their middle symbol first. The goal is to find out where every reader's middle symbol appears for the other readers. We don't really have names for these symbols, but for the most part, you can kind of describe what you're seeing and your team should be able to figure it out. So in this example, the first reader's symbol is two-headed snake. One of the other 2 readers will now also be able to see two-headed snake on either their left or right side of where they're looking. Once that other reader confirms, hey, I see two-headed snake on my right side, that's where the main mechanic comes into play. Because this symbol is showing up on the right side, it means that the rock position is Antumbra. If two-headed snake would have been on the left in this example, it would have been Penumbra. Don't worry, we'll go over why this is all important in 1 second. So once that second reader has taken note, hey, my plate is penumbra or antumbra, whichever it is. And by the way, we just call it pen and ant. I'm just going to call it that from now on. They will then call out what their middle symbol is, and another reader will then look for where it appears for them. So we're going to do this for all 3 plates. Again, very hard to explain, I get it, but at its core, the mechanic is very straightforward. You're just matching up symbols and taking note of them being on the right or left side for all readers. And because there will always be at least one of each antumbra and penumbra, we always type whatever is the odd one out here. So something like tree equals pen in this example, because stairs and rock are both ant. Less to type in, but if you want to type in all 3, that's completely fine too. Once you've got all 3 plates designated for either ant and pen, it's time to do part 2. The readers can then hop off their plates and they will look for whatever room is not blocked by a taken wall. There will always be one room open. Whoever's room is open can run in the room and wait for the taken captain to spawn in. Kill that taken captain, grab the Eye of Riven, and then ask the team which room is now open because it keeps shifting. There are these side pathways on the outer edge of the room, so since only one room will be open at a time, you'll have to take these outer pathways to get back to the middle area. You'll notice that while you're holding the Eye of Riven, you'll have either the ant or pen buff. It's your job to dunk the buff on the right plate. Feel free to open that chat if needed. I know I always need to make sure you dunk on the right spot. Both readers will then have to do the exact same thing the first reader did. They'll have to find the Eye of Riven, carry it to the correct spot, depending on what their buff is, antumbra or penumbra, and you'll have to cleanse all 3 plates, obviously, and you'll have to repeat that 3 total times to complete the encounter. But what about the ad clearers hanging out on rock, tree, and stairs rooms? They've got a pretty easy job, but one thing you do want to make sure of is killing those knights that will spawn in. They will sprint over to the plate and try and shove the sword, kind of plunge it into the plate. And if they do that, it's a wipe for the entire team, so just don't let it happen. As long as you're only looking out for that, you're going to be fine as an ad clear. And that's it for the vault. Let's move on to something easier, which is Riven. Alright, so for Riven, there is a near 0% chance that any LFG you join will do this the legit way. Literally, no one does it legit. It's more complicated than the vault encounter, it takes forever to explain, and no one has any time for that. So because no one does this legit, I'm going to show you the cheese method. But first, let's go over loadouts. Because we're getting a 1 phase here, we want to make sure that we're kind of dialed in. Precision damage is key here. You can use something like Whisper of the Worm. Thunderlord works really well because everyone has it. Celestial Nighthawk, Golden Guns. But you can also get an even easier kill with 2 Behemoth Titans using Synthoceps. Just make sure you've got any combination of well and any of these things, you're going to be fine. To get the cheese done, we will ride the grav lifts down into this room. Just follow this path. Once we get to this room, we're looking to see if Riven is in the room or not in the room by looking for a shadow. You kind of see a silhouette of her running across the wall. If you do see Riven's shadow in this room, it means she's right here and you just have to wait for her to spawn in to do damage. If you don't see the shadow, after about 5 seconds from when the taken enemies spawn in, you need to run to this other room where she'll be. Just follow this path that we're taking here. Thankfully, there's an area that has just never been patched where you can join allies to take you back to the main room, and you can go ahead and just follow this path and jump down the other side where she will be. But whatever room she's in, the process is the same. Pop a well and shoot her in the mouth for damage. Just make sure to not shoot her eyes or it's an instant wipe. Behemoth Titans, it's also helpful if you have another well with you right here. Just line up next to her and yeah, just watch this. Very easy. Once you get Riven to final, just complete this quick jumping puzzle. Only one person has to do it and clear out that last bit of health. Once her mouth opens, run inside, go down her throat, super weird, and shoot her heart, and killing Riven is that easy. But we are not done yet. We've still got the heart run. This seems to give a lot of people problems. I understand this part will take a little bit of practice. Once you grasp the concept and kind of get used to the heart's radius, the timing, all of that, it really is okay. The goal here is you and your team are going to be juggling the heart, carrying it back through the raid a little bit from where you came from. One player at random is going to get the Fate's Chosen buff, allowing them to pick up the heart. Once picked up, the heart will kind of form a bubble around the team, slowly getting smaller as the timer for the person carrying the heart decreases. Anyone that's inside the heart's bubble radius, once that timer reaches 0, is going to get teleported inside the heart until the encounter is finished. Since we need to carry the heart to the end, and the fact that we're on a timer, We only want the person carrying the heart to get teleported every time. Anyone else teleported means that less people can carry the heart, which means less time to carry the heart. So you might be asking, why doesn't everyone just stay really far away from the heart carrier to avoid getting teleported? Well, if you stand outside the heart bubble, you will get darkness stacks that will kill you if it builds up to 10. So everyone needs to be far enough away from the heart carrier as the timer approaches 0, but close enough to where the newly picked Fate's Chosen Guardian can pick it up and keep carrying it forward. You can't leave the heart on the ground forever. Once someone gets teleported inside the heart, Fate's Chosen will choose someone else at random to carry the heart, to where you can just repeat the process and keep pushing the heart forward. So what's going on inside the heart? The players on the inside of the heart will be extending the timer for the heart carrier. Each carry can be extended once, basically doubling the total time you have to carry the heart. This is a necessary part to the fight, you've got to do it. The mechanic is similar to Morgeth's fight, where you'll have to collect these floating taken orbs and pick up taken strength, but remember, collecting more than 2 taken strength will kill you, so don't do that. In order to extend the heart carrier's timer, you'll need to collect every taken orb in the arena before the carrier's timer runs down to 0. Fun part is, once a new player gets teleported, another taken orb will spawn in for that round, so it increases every time. To make this process easy, we do like to designate the first teleported member as the person that always jumps through the final orb to extend the heart carrier's timer. So if there's 3 orbs on the field, that first person that got teleported should take the last one, and obviously you want to make sure that whoever's carrying the heart is calling out their timer, like 10, 9, 8, 7, right? So the people on the inside know when to jump through their taken orbs. Hope that makes sense. Once you carry the heart to the end, just dunk it in here and you've beaten Last Wish. Nice work. Last Wish has a lot of in-depth mechanics that are pretty difficult to explain in a video, but I hope I was able to help you all today. If there's anything else that you'd like to see in a future video, I'm going to cover every raid in this series, so if there's something more that you want to see, please let me know. In the meantime, if you're looking for people to play with for a cool community of Destiny players, please join the Discord. Link is in the description. Next up, we've got Garden of Salvation. I know a lot of people aren't looking forward to that, but that's what we've got on the menu. So I will see you in the next video or in the Discord.